Dan Bidondi here for TruthRadioShow.com with another exciting report here. And the big question is, have you always wondered why the mainstream media has lied? It doesn't matter which side the media is on. There's always lies and propaganda going on. And have you always wondered where it came from? Well, we're going to take a journey through time to show you exactly where this has come from and who is responsible for this. But first of all, there's a thing called propaganda that a lot of people may not be aware of. This all started back with propaganda that was like being recognized through the world, with people like Adolf Hitler and his minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels. Anyway, I got Hitler here saying, all propaganda has to be popular and has to accommodate itself to the comprehension of the least intelligent of those whom it seeks to reach. And this is very important, these couple quotes to what's going to go on in this video here. By the skillful and sustained use of propaganda, one can make a people see even heaven as hell or extremely wretched life as paradise. And one more famous quote from Joseph Goebbels: if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Now, this pertains a lot to the mainstream media, and many people could already see where this is going, and many people could already agree with this. But anyway, where this all came from, where it all started, here in the United States, well, a lot of people are not aware of. Now, what we call the Central Intelligence Agency today came from exactly the Nazi Germans during Operation Paperclip. This is all on public record. Operation Paperclip, after World War II, they went over and recruited all the German SS officers and the intelligence, which was the intelligence agencies for Germany, and the Nazi German scientists. Well, anyway, where the CIA came from is the SS. And they brought them here, immediately called them the Office of Strategic Services. Now, many older people know exactly what this is. This is before the CIA. And eventually, if you see the same logo here, eventually the OSS became known as the Central Intelligence Agency. This is where it all came from. The CIA is nothing more than legitly a Nazi ratline organization started by Operation Paperclip. So it's not a conspiracy theory, folks. If you think so, you don't know jack about history. I'm going to tell you that right now. So anyway, where this all came from, we're going to go quickly through time for a minute here. This is out of the book. It's called Proofs of a Conspiracy by John Robinson. Basically, back in, again, not a conspiracy, back in the 1700s when the German Bavarian group, the Illuminati, was formed by Adam Weishaupt. His code name was Spartacus. Anyway, John Robinson, he talks about this and what their plan was to do. And now back in, let me highlight this here quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Back then, now to get their propaganda through society, now mind you, they didn't have TV and radio back then. What they did was they used newspapers, they used authors and everything else and they named this called the German Union, appearing to the form of reading societies. Because that's where they get the media from, as libraries, newspapers, books, and whatnot, and memoirs. So they formed a thing called the German Union back in the 1700s to indoctrinate all of Europe with Illuminism. That's where all this comes from. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. That's a whole new report altogether. And right from the start of the 1900s, Joseph Stalin from the Soviet Union used propaganda in a newspaper called the Pravda. And they use other media as well, but the Pravda basically was a propaganda tool to influence the Russian citizens and its public that the communists was a good way of life, and they just brainwashed the citizens there in Russia to anything they wanted them to believe. And as you know, millions of people died as a result of that. And that's how dangerous propaganda is. And propaganda in the Soviet Union was, again, communist propaganda in the Soviet Union was extensively based on the Marxist-Leninist ideology to promote the Communist Party line. and during the Stalin era. And again, they use all the propaganda through the media, through the schools. I mean, they attacked, the children in the schools and the youth organizations to, make them follow the way of life. Just turn all these young children into propaganda machines. And there's so much information on this stuff, so I'm going to skip through a lot of it, but they use newspapers, books, it goes right through the media. They went to meetings and lectures, the propaganda train there, art, and as I said, the kids in the schools and the newspapers. They use books, the theater, the man, and again, just like the German Union did all this, they're doing it here today in America, but this all started here in the 1900s as well, basically in Russia and in Germany, and it's not a coincidence. And they use every form of media known to man to promote their ideology. And again, Joseph Goebbels here, back to him, as we quoted earlier, he said, if you tell a lie big enough and long enough, people will believe it. Well, Joseph Goebbels was Adolf Hitler's, the Nazi German minister of propaganda. And basically a German politician, basically to advocate progressively harsher discrimination, including extermination of the Jews in the Holocaust. Basically, he made it look good. He made it look like there's a reason why you got to get rid of the Jews, and they used, just like the Russians, they went to, they had Nazi youth brigades. That's why the people loved him. Through the use of propaganda, they made Adolf Hitler look like a god. Even people here in the United States at the time was heavily influenced by Adolf Hitler. But they made the Nazi movement look like such a good thing until, I guess, the United States finally noticed, hey, this guy's not a good guy. But Adolf Hitler here, because of propaganda, using all the media, books, schools, all kinds of things they could get at just to promote Nazism. And to say the Jews were the inferior race, and it was horrible what happened. Hundreds of millions of people during this time have died because of propaganda through Russia, through Germany, and many other countries. Now, going fast forward today, again, when we talked about the CIA, the Nazi Rotline organization, well, the CIA in the 1950s, they came up with a little operation called Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was to infiltrate all the major mainstream media here in the United States of America and some other countries as well, but mainly here in America. The CIA, it's not a coincidence that Anderson Cooper from CNN, the Communist News Network, I call it, is a former CIA agent. And what they did was they implanted all the CIA agents, not all of them, I'm sorry, many CIA agents into the mainstream media and threatened reporters, threatened editors, and actually took over operations in some places to promote their agendas through the television. Basically, to scare the heck out of the public, divide the public from within. This goes a long way. It really does. So that's why you can't trust the mainstream media. Doesn't matter who it is in the mainstream media. Yes, you get good reporters in the mainstream media. Absolutely. But the network itself, you could not trust, not even Fox. Okay, all the mainstream media is all controlled by this. Now, quickly, in 1953, thanks to the same kind of propaganda, and once again, the CIA with their hands in the mix, Operation Ajax. Now, they kind of glorify this to basically say they use the propaganda in the media to go against communism, which is not even half as true as what they're saying. But anyway, it was during 1953, it was the Iranian coup, Tidal. Basically, the CIA had their hands in the operation here, using propaganda to cause an uprising in Iran. And as you can see, even today, they're still trying to go after Iran. And it's not a coincidence that Iran is not a country that's controlled by the Rothschild. So, not a coincidence. So, anyway, going to Cuba, the Cuban project, everybody remembers Operation Mongoose, I hope. It was a covert operations from, again, the CIA, once again, the hands in the mix. That was commissioned in March 1960. Operation Mongoose basically was, during the whole Cuban Missile Crisis and everything else as well. That was during the time of Kennedy as well. And basically they wanted to overthrow Fidel Castro. Because at the time, I'm not saying Cuba was a perfect country. No. Cuba didn't want nothing to do with us. They had some little alliance with Russia, and Russia wanted to build a couple missile bases there. So what they wanted to do is spread propaganda to attack Cuba. And that's where Operation Northwoods comes from. That's a whole new video on that. But anyway, then the Cuban project, the Central Intelligence Agency used propaganda to get the people uprised over Cuba. And they even talked about staging false flag attacks within Operation Northwoods. And but anyway, it was to basically neutralize and take out Cuba, the whole operation. And again, I'm not saying Cuba's perfect, but they wanted nothing to do with us, and just because they had something going on with the Russians. Then you get to Operation Mongoose here, which again controlled by the CIA, using once again propaganda to help overthrow Cuba. And so the communist regime, they called it, which it was. But the thing is, again, it was something that was none of our business, had nothing to do with us. And the CIA, once again, wants to destabilize countries. And anyway, you're talking about the media here today. All the media here, is owned by 6 major news networks. This is all public record. GE, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. And these 6 major corporations all controlled and run by the CIA. They're even funded by the CIA. The CIA even funds things like Netflix and Hulu. Why would they do that? Easily, to promote propaganda. They even 60 Minutes, Jeopardy, game shows, even the NFL Network, they control because they want to promote anti-gun propaganda. They want to promote their globalist agenda through these major networks. And it's all tied in with the Bilderberg Group and everything else that has a lot of impact on what the CIA does and everything else. So it's all CIA propaganda to promote this legit communist, Nazi, New World Order agenda. That's what it's all about. And again, it's to divide America. And when I'm talking about divide here, quick through history here, we see this. It's 2 pillars. You got the right wing and the left wing, which is the picture's backwards, but you got the Republican Party and the Democratic Party leaned up against each other. And basically what's trying to show, this is what the public sees. They think it's 2 separate parties, but at the top they connect together. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up because there's another form of divide and conquer. Again, another Nazi tactic there. But even before Nazi Germany, even George Washington's farewell address warned us to stay away from political parties because he's seen how the elite set up 2-party major systems all over the world to purposely divide the people. And basically, they are two wings to the same bird. That's exactly what they are. No different from one another. They're 2 wings to the same bird, and without each other, they'll crumble. But what this has to do with media is because the media is either Republican or Democrat or conservative or liberal. So that's where you got CNN going against Fox all the time. It gets MSNBC, and it goes on and on. So the Central Intelligence Agency, folks, they are legit the world's biggest terrorists. They have had the hand in every plot across the country. Not just the United States, all over the world. When it comes to so-called terrorist attacks, you always find out they had something to do with it. They created the terrorist organization years before, like Al-Qaeda on record. They use Timothy Osman, known as Bin Laden, to create Al-Qaeda in the 10-year war in Afghanistan versus Russia to destabilize the whole area. So later on, they can move in like they are now in the Middle East to be the saviors, to be the freedom liberators against these communists that the CIA put in power. The CIA has put in most communist, like Saddam Hussein and all these other communist dictators. The CIA put them in power, gave them money and weapons and everything that they needed to become in power, so we can move in as the liberators and save the day. So these people here, folks, I'm not saying every agent that works there. I'm sure there's some good agents, which I know there are, but the organization itself, again, it's a Nazi ratline organization that want to control everything. They control the media. They control everything that goes on in your schools, what your kids learn. The same propaganda garbage that came out of the German Union from the Illuminati. And spread it through Nazi Germany and Soviet Union and all the way to today through our mainstream media, our schools, and every form of media, TV shows and everything else that are brainwashing kids with their globalism. And folks, this is a real threat here, a big threat. These people are the world's biggest terrorists. And finally, if this doesn't convince you, you have definitely fallen victim to the CIA's propaganda, because former director William Casey openly stated, "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false." Dan Bidondi, TruthRadioShow.com. Declaring war on the New World Order, TruthRadioShow.com.